Good evening, my brothers and sisters. We are getting near the end of this series of devotionals with looking at the parables of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew. Tonight we are in chapter 25, and we're going to be looking at verses 14 through 30, at the parable of the bags of gold. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey, and by it, he means the kingdom of heaven. That's how he continually begins his parables. The kingdom of heaven will be like. So here it says, again, it will be like a man going on a journey, who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed? Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I returned I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have in abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have, will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, a lot of similarities with other parables. Number one similarity, of course, that jumps out at the end of the parable is if you are in the class of those that don't meet the requirements, whatever those might be based upon the varying parables, you are thrown out where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Or you'll be bundled up and thrown into the fire. You'll be experiencing something unpleasant, shall we say. The second is that the master is gone for a long time. We just finished the one of the 10 virgins last night, and we looked at the fact that the bridegroom was gone a long time. There's this sense of the expectancy of the coming of the kingdom of God, and that it takes a long time. So that too is consistent. As we look at this specific parable, though, there's other interesting things that are repeated. So we see that there are 3 servants that the master gives money to before he goes away on a long journey. Number one, you need to realize that none of them got a small amount of money. None of them. Even the 3rd servant, who only got 1 bag, got a bag of gold. This was not like he was entrusted with $1 that if he had messed up, it would somehow have disappeared. This was a sum of money worth about an annual salary, a total annual salary. It's not a small sum of money. He had capacity to do with, to take risks, and to encourage reward. So the first 2 servants both received multiple bags. The first one 5, the second one 2, and the third one 1, and all of them received the amount based upon their ability. So the master did not encumber them with more than they were capable. So too God does not encumber us with more than we are capable of. But he requires of each of us that which we are capable of. That's consistent. The first two have a similar story, and in fact, they do the same thing, and they come back with the same results, and they get the same reward. The first one has 5 bags of gold. He goes right away and puts it to work and earns 5 more. He doubles the value. The second one does the exact same thing and doubles the value. They both bring them to the accounting for the master, and the master responds with the exact same words. He says, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." So whether you had 5 bags or 2 bags, if you did what you were supposed to and experienced the result that was expected, then you would receive the same reward. The interesting thing is that the third servant, at least by his own words, had a perspective of the master of fear. Now, we don't know, according to this parable, whether the third servant's perspective is accurate or not. The master does not deny it, nor does he agree with it. He simply states, "That was your perception of me, then you were an idiot." I mean, that's not the exact words, but that's basically what he says. If you knew that I was a hard man and that I reap where I have not sown, then why did you not at least put the money in the hands of the bankers who would have earned interest with it while I was gone? So he never says that he is a hard man. He simply says that if that is your assumption of me, then the way you acted was stupid. So it makes no sense. Now, a couple of things. Number one, it is very easy in this life to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to other people. You'll always find somebody bigger, faster, stronger, better looking, wealthier than you are. And if you're looking and comparing, it'll drive you to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, a sense of futile existence. There are also always people that are smaller, weaker, uglier, poorer than you are. And if you focus on them, it will drive you to narcissism and pride, also an unhealthy result in this life. What is the faithful Christian supposed to do? He's supposed to look at what the Lord has given him, and he's supposed to get to work with it. Play the hand you're dealt. Somebody else may have gotten a full house, and maybe you just got a pair of deuces, but the reality is that you don't have any better option than to play the hand you're dealt as well as you can. And the good news is that the master knows what he gave you. He's not expecting, if he gave you 2, for you to come back with 5. Play the hand you're dealt. Do it to the best of your ability. Make the best of your situation. You may have been born into a family that was abusive, that was alcoholic and drug addicted, where you were repeatedly taken from your parents by CPS, eventually put into the foster care system and shunted from one home to the next, to the next, to the next. And that's tragic, and it's terrible, and it's no excuse. Play the hand you're dealt. You may have been born into a loving Christian family where both of your biological parents were the first marriage for each other and their only marriage, and that they lived out a godly example in front of you and were both stern in discipline but gratuitous in their love. They supported and encouraged you. They had enough fiscal means to be able to support you and to give you opportunities and options that they themselves did not have. And you may have had a very good relationship with them. Good. Fantastic. Get to work. To whom much is given, much is required. You see, the 5-bag servant shouldn't have come back with just 1 bag more. You see, it doesn't matter what hand you're dealt. We're all supposed to make the best of what we have, and will be judged accordingly by the only one that can judge accurately, honestly, justly, and fairly. The one who knows our hearts, the one who knows our minds, our thoughts, our intentions, our capacities, our future, and our failings. There's no excuses. When you come before the judge at the end of days for your day of reckoning, and he opens the books, you can't make lame excuses. You can't say, well, I was meaning to, or he knows. He knows your thoughts. Get to work. You see, the first two servants did something incredibly important. They got to work right away. And I believe in some ways, that's the key. Procrastination will kill your potential, destroy your capacity in this life, and will leave you empty-handed before your King. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, but you have today. Do with it what you can, what you should, what you must. And make sure that your work is not simply for self-aggrandizement, but rather for the building up of the Master's kingdom. You see, both of the first two servants returned not just the investment that was given to them, but also the return on that investment, and it went back to the Master. It wasn't theirs to keep. They were the steward of it. They were able to earn their livelihood from the Master's wealth while they were going about their day, but their profit was his. But the payoff was theirs as well, because the Master's wealth is what they were invited to come in and enjoy. One better than master and servant, God calls us his children, co-heirs with Christ. So you get to build the very kingdom you inherit. Build well. Build diligently. Build with joy. And maximize your impact in this life so that you can maximize what you give back to your God and King, so you can maximize your enjoyment for eternity. May our great God and King bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may you get to work building the kingdom that you get to inherit. Thank you and good night.